my name is Danielle Ruiz-Ponce and welcome to our Alice's Table event at this fantastic venue here in my kitchen. I'm so excited that you joined us this evening. So Alice's Table, as I'm sure you're aware, it's a lifestyle business who supports women, event executives such as myself, men or women, to come into fantastic venues like this and teach you how to make beautiful arrangements, thus trying to add a little bit of joy and beauty into your world. So that is actually part of why I joined Alice's Table. I love the idea of just bringing more beauty into the world. I think flowers are such a great way to just remind us about beauty, about the beauty of the seasons, about the beauty of nature. And so I wanted to bring a little bit more beauty and joy into people's lives here in our Twin Cities area. And so I'm super excited to be a part of Alice's Table and with you today. So you can, if this is something that's really fantastic for you, if you really love it, I do private events at your home for bridal showers, bachelor parties, just for a fun ladies' night at home, book club event. I do other public events as well at other bars, wineries, restaurants here in the area, so be sure to keep tabs on all of my social media and all of the events that I have coming up. What we're going to be doing tonight is called Summer in Antibes, and I'm super excited. It's a really beautiful arrangement, very spring oriented. So our whole spring collection was inspired by the south of France and a trip that our founder Alice took to France when she was in high school. So Antibes is this town kind of in France where all of the locals come together to maybe get away from the tourists for a little bit, to just enjoy some of the spring and the beauty. So hopefully when we look at our arrangement, we'll just feel relaxed and kind of an escape into spring, even if the weather outside doesn't feel like it right now. So to get started, we're going to prepare our vase. So what we're doing today is a water-based arrangement. It doesn't have that foam that you might have seen in other arrangements. It's water-based. So this is going to be great to allow your arrangement to last a little bit longer. Though the foam adds a lot of structure and stability, which is great, but it does tend to dry out the flowers. And I don't know about you, but I don't keep Oasis foam at home, so I think this will be a great kind of tool that is more similar to maybe how you would arrange a supermarket bouquet at home. So to get started, to add that structure that we're looking for in a water-based arrangement, we're going to use some Oasis tape. So the tape here can just be put across our vase. It's a waterproof tape, so it's gonna stick even in the midst of your water arrangement. So if you still remember having a telephone at your house, we're going to put this pound symbol on your vase. If you're a little bit more of my era using Instagram, put a hashtag across your vase. Basically just two pieces in one direction, two pieces in the other, crisscrossing like that, pound or hashtag, whatever era you're from. This, you could, if you're at home, you could use Scotch tape. I like the Oasis tape because it is waterproof. Just found it at Hobby Lobby or any of your local stores. So now we're going to fill it up with the water. We're only going to do about a third full, so it doesn't splash in your car, on the bus, on the way home. But I would like to remind you, do fill it up all the way when you get home. Our flowers are going to be super thirsty after we cut the ends off, so you'll want to fill it every day. Kind of make sure that the water is at a good level every single day. I do have some plant food in here too already for you. All of your buckets have some plant food, so you'll be set. So go ahead and grab your vase, grab your tape, make that hashtag. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna grab some of our Israeli ruscus here. We're gonna start by greening the vase. So the Israeli ruscus is a beautiful way to add structure to the outside of our vase. We don't want any of these leaves going into the water though. That would introduce bacteria, which is what contributes to that kind of stinky old flower smell. So when we grab our ruscus, we can cut it. We can use this piece for two different pieces. So we're gonna kind of cut it right around here, take off some of the lower level leaves, use your handy trash buckets there and try to cut it at about 45-degree angle at the bottom. That's going to help it to soak up the water. So we're just going to put some greens all around the vase. This is a great thing to do with all of your bouquets that you get at the supermarket. They always include at least a couple pieces of greens. So when I get mine, I love to pick them out. When I get mine, I like to just take it all apart, see what I'm dealing with, and kind of make sure I'm using those greens well. So if you look at one, you say, it's a little tall, just go ahead and give it another little trim. Always better to cut a little longer on that first trim, I think, than to have it swimming down there. A little bit shorter. There we go. So we're going to want to have the green all the way around the vase. It really adds that beauty and that support that our flowers are going to really need to stand up. So go ahead and grab your Israeli ruscus from the buckets we have over here. Go ahead and trim it off and go ahead and start greening your vases. So the next flower that I'm going to be putting in is our beautiful hydrangea. So I know that the recipe calls for mini hydrangeas. My supermarket only had these gorgeous blue ones. So I'm going to start with just one of them, see how that fits in here. So hydrangeas are actually super, super thirsty flowers, and we want to make sure we get them as much water as possible. So when you cut it, you can kind of see if the stem has already started to heal up. So the stems have this great ability to just heal themselves and to hold up the flower's freshness. But that means that we need to give it a little bit more of a cut to make sure that it's going to take up some water and last a good long time in your vase. So give it a good 45-degree angle cut, and then we're actually going to use the shears to crack the stem open vertically so that the hydrangeas can get as much water as possible. I want it a little bit shorter here. There we go. Make sure it's got some of that nice structure. Let's put it right in the center of the grid so it can just hold up and flop down there. Now hydrangeas, like I said, super thirsty. They also drink from their heads. So we're gonna grab our spray bottle here and just give that hydrangea a drink. So you can go ahead and do this at home at least 2 times a day. Give your hydrangea a good drenching so it stays nice and fresh. It's such a beautiful flower, but we want to make sure it stays healthy and fresh, and that is with lots of water. So you're not going to take off all the leaves like you would on another flower. Just leave some of those on, and that's going to help it to drink up that water. So hydrangeas, I'm sure you've seen them a lot around Minnesota in the summer. These are a fantastic annual plant. So if you fall in love with it here in your vase, it's super hardy and it can last even through our Minnesota winters. Come back again and again to make it super beautiful. So go ahead and grab your hydrangeas from the buckets over there. Give them a trim. Be sure to crack the stem and give it a nice, beautiful placement in your vase. So the next flower that we've got are our beautiful pink roses. So the rose here, I'm sure you've processed these before, but roses are known not only for their beauty and their fragrance, but their thorns as well. I remember when I was a kid, I would go to my mom's flower shop where she worked, and we'd have to put on these like crazy thick gloves to deal with the roses because the thorns were so intense. But I've got these fantastic little rose cleaners at your tables. So in order to clean off everything, one easy swipe, go ahead and hold the rose nice and firm close to the head. Grab your rose cleaners and wrap it right around the stem. Give it a good pull down. It's going to take off all those leaves and thorns as well. So the rose is gorgeous, but it also has some of these not so gorgeous guard petals. So in order to make our rose all that more beautiful, we're just going to remove some of these guard petals. You can take off some of the green that is around there as well. Any of the guard petals are the ones that are kind of brown, not so fresh and clean looking, a little bit more crinkled. So go ahead and just take those off. And in order to help the rose open a little bit, we're going to give it a good blow. I kind of feel like a fairy princess when I'm blowing on this rose, but it's going to give this a beautiful encouragement to open and bloom in your vase. So we're going to blow on it like this. Oh, so pretty. So go ahead and then just cut that again at that 45-degree angle. And we're going to put 5 gorgeous pink roses into our vase. So I've already cleaned off my other 4, but you go ahead and grab some of your other vase, grab your 4 other roses from the buckets over there, and I'm gonna work on this over here. So, well, I'm sorry, you grab your 5 beautiful pink roses. So roses come in tons of different varieties. There are thousands of varieties of roses. I've seen like garden roses, I've seen these beautiful frilly edged roses. There's lots of different kinds of roses. It's important when we're picking out roses at the grocery store or at our florist or at a market to give the heads a little squeeze. That's when you're gonna know that they're fresh. If they're nice and firm, they're fresh, they're gonna last a good amount of time. Just pass on by if they're a little on the mushy side. We don't want mushy roses. So we've got our gorgeous pink roses. We can also, what's fantastic about the hydrangea, we can also just stick things kind of right inside it there. It's gonna break that blueness apart a little bit and add some texture and variety. Great, so you should have grabbed all of your roses, make sure they're in your vase, looking fresh, and we're gonna move on to our tulips. So we have some beautiful tulips here. Tulips are such a sign of spring to me. They just make me feel like, oh, spring has arrived, it's no longer winter. So tulips are a fantastic piece to add to our arrangement. What's really unique about them is that they will actually grow in your arrangement. So that's pretty cool. We don't have to be afraid of cutting them too short because they're actually going to add up to an inch over a week within your arrangement. So it's okay to look for tightly closed tulips. That actually means that they're going to bloom, they're going to have their glory moment in your kitchen rather than on a supermarket aisle somewhere. So we want to just look for a nice, firmly closed one. If they're open a little bit, that's totally fine. But they're a great sign of spring. You don't need to remove all of the leaves on this like you would your roses. As long as they're not going to be below the water level, they're going to be just fine. So I'm just going to take it, give it a good 45-degree cut, and I do want it to have some structure and support. So I'm going to make sure it's going in a good spot in my tape grid where it's going to kind of get support, where it's going to bloom and grow and kind of last a good long time in there. There we go. So we are going to use 3 of these beautiful blush colored tulips. So go ahead and head on over to the buckets and choose your 3 beautiful tulips. Take a little trim off the edge and you can put them in your arrangement. I'm going to grab another one here. Again, remember, we don't want those ones dipping in the water. We don't want that bacteria introduced. But those leaves up close to the top add that beautiful kind of spring touch to it. I love the colors of the leaves. Bright and springy. There we go. All right, so the next flower that this recipe calls for is lisianthus. So my Whole Foods did not have lisianthus, so I'm substituting it for one of my all-time favorite flowers, ranunculus. So I've got some beautiful white ranunculus over here. Ranunculus are a really great flower to add to bouquets or arrangements because they can last you up to a week. They're long lasting. They are pretty delicate though. So we're going to treat them really gently and kindly. We're just going to remove those leaves that would be down in our water, kind of gently. And then we're going to want to introduce them into our vase with that 45-degree angle trim and introduce them to our vase very gently, kind of like we're guiding a pen in. And make sure that we're surrounding it with some support because we don't want the stems to bend. That would prevent it from taking water up and lasting that good 7 days. So we can take a good, I've got enough for about 5 ranunculus to add to your arrangement. So these are a great way to add texture, to add dimension. Ranunculus in Latin actually means little frog. So we're gonna add these little frogs all throughout our arrangement. Go ahead and head on over to the buckets, grab your 5 little frog ranunculus, and we're gonna just give those a little trim and add them in a structurally sound place here in our arrangement. I love all the colors of this arrangement. Everything about it just speaks spring. We've got whites and pinks and all this bright green. So fresh. And if as you're looking at your arrangement, you're thinking, oh, I kind of don't want that there anymore, go ahead and just give it a move. That's what the art of flower arranging is all about, just kind of adjusting and moving it around as you go. We want to look for kind of symmetry throughout. So we're trying to balance it out. I know I've got this kind of heavier hydrangea, but we can balance that with the beauty of the ranunculus, the roses, and get some height and dimension in there by leaving some of these a little bit longer. So we don't need to make them all kind of hug the vase. We can give them some height in there. All right, so there's my 5 ranunculus. And you know what, I do have some room. I am gonna add a little bit to this. I am gonna add another hydrangea. So the recipe did call for 2 of the minis. So I'm gonna add 2 of these big daddies. I'm gonna make that stem all trimmed up nicely. Just wanna make sure I keep that balance in here. Excuse me, little roses. So again, if we've got a bigger hydrangea, we can just kind of put some of our sturdier flowers right on into it. Kind of breaks apart. It also adds that beautiful pink all throughout it. All right, so the crowning glory of our Summer in Antibes arrangement is actually a beautiful sprig of rosemary. Rosemary is a beautiful herb. Just when I think about France, like you think about all of the herbs, the lavender, the thyme, the rosemary. So rosemary is fantastic, obviously because of its smell. In order to get that smell, just kind of start stroking your rosemary. You're gonna smell that right away. So one of the fantastic things about rosemary is that the fragrance itself is used as an oil in in so many different things. The rosemary oil has been shown to increase brain functioning. It's kind of stimulating. It's also great at easing stress. So not only is this arrangement going to be aesthetically beautiful, but who knows, by stroking and smelling your rosemary, it may alleviate your stress, and it's just going to add joy and ease to your life. So we're going to do the rosemary in a similar way as we would to any of the other flowers. Just take off some of those lower pieces that would get yucky in the water, give it a good trim. They're super woody, so they're going to last a good long time in your arrangement.